There are thousands of DOS games. Most of them are terrible. I play one selected at random with a 20-minute time limit and record it live. This is the result. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Random DOS Game Show, and today we have a title from Lucasfilm Games, and it's Battlehawks 1942. And as you're probably aware, Lucasfilm Games would later be rebranded to LucasArts, which was one of the big movers and shakers of the DOS gaming era, so I think we're in for something special today. And look at those credits, the very top, created and designed by, and he was also the lead programmer, the one and only Lawrence Holland. And for those who may not be familiar with that name, Lawrence Holland was responsible for some of the most critically acclaimed titles in the Lucasfilm Games and later LucasArts library, basically starting with this game here, Battlehawks 1942. It's a World War II combat flight simulator, and he would go on to create two more World War II flight sims, Their Finest Hour and Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, and all three of the games enjoyed both commercial and critical acclaim. But probably most importantly of all, he would take the lessons learned from those titles and apply them to the Star Wars universe to create the unparalleled X-Wing series of games, which for the DOS gaming era included the original X-Wing and what is not only the best Star Wars game ever made, but one of the best games ever made, period, the one and only TIE Fighter. So this is going to be a treat today. We're going to see kind of basically the humble beginnings almost of this. So we have a trading mode, select active duty, review planes, review service records, or exit from the program. Go ahead and start the timer before I forget. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do what I do for a lot of these old DOS flight sims that have this option. We're going to review the planes. Nothing like a good old vehicle viewer option on this. So we get to choose between the United States and Japan, which are the two main combatants of the Pacific Theater in World War II. And you get to look at the different planes, and you get to rotate the aircraft. So we're starting with the F-4F Wildcat, which was the primary carrier-based U.S. fighter in the early stages of the Pacific War. It looks like there's a couple different variants of the Wildcat, which, even though the appearance is the same, it does have some slightly different stats. And we have a couple of dive bombers. We have a torpedo bomber, the Avenger, and it looks like that's it. Let's see what Japan has to offer. The iconic A6M0 fighter, which is their primary fighter of World War II, which incidentally, I once had the pleasure of seeing a fully restored and flyable Zero at an air show a while back. And I gotta say that photographs and even game representations like this really don't give the plane justice for just how pretty of an aircraft it is. It's very elegant looking, if I do say so myself. But we also have some dive bombers. The Val dive bomber looks like a couple different variants, and a Kate torpedo bomber, and that's it. So it looks like kind of a rather limited vehicle roster here, but I suppose, though, if we're covering the early stages of the war in the Pacific, and particularly the early carrier battles, that's more or less the only planes that you really need for this. I did check out the manual beforehand. I think we should probably go ahead and select training, though, just in case. So we have fighter intercept mission, fighter escort mission. Oh, and it looks like the dive bombers and torpedo bombers are flyable for this, which is something you don't always see with these flight sims. They usually focus exclusively on the fighter combat, but I guess we'll just go with this one first for gunnery fundamentals. Practice low and high deflection shooting against slow, non-maneuvering targets. All right. Advanced. Oh, I see. So, interesting. So there's like a bunch of different mission types that you can select within these broad categories. All right, so for now, I guess we'll stick with gunnery fundamentals. And it looks like this is the briefing room. 8 drones will be flying in fixed patterns all around you. Use this opportunity to practice your shooting and flying skills. Learn how to lead your targets from all angles and concentrate on using as few shots as possible. And it says if you're flying a Zeke, which is the Japanese Zero, remember to use both your machine guns and the 20mm cannons. You only have 60 rounds of cannon fire. Well, we're flying the Wildcat by the looks of things, so I don't think we have to worry about that. So I guess we'll just begin the flight. And I am playing with the joystick here. And fortunately, the joystick seems to be fully functional here. And we got PC speaker sound. Let's see, I have to figure out the deflection angle for this. It looks like, let's see, is that the ammo counter on the bottom right? If so, we may have unlimited ammo for this. And obviously, this was made in the late 80s, so this was kind of before a lot of developers were using polygonal 3D graphics. I think I need to throttle up a bit. I don't think I should have stalled quite that easily. And I do have a bit of a cheat sheet next to me. I wrote down all of the controls that were in the manual. So, it seems pretty intuitive so far, though. I mean, as far as the joystick is concerned, everything works right out of the box. Whoa, I'm gonna crash, though. Whoa! Okay, so the yaw leaves a bit to be desired, I think, but... And I must say, this Wildcat is maneuvering a bit like a pig. But I guess that's to be expected. The Wildcat was not that impressive of a fighter, and it really struggled against the Japanese Zero in the early stages of the war. And it wasn't until later on when, first off, effective tactics were devised to counter the Zero, but also, too... Oh, jeez. This plane stalls way too easy. But also, too, the U.S. managed to get their hands on a Zero and put it through its paces, and they used the performance stats there to develop the F-5F Hellcat, which countered the Zero in basically every way and gave U.S. pilots a decisive advantage once they combined the plane itself with the tactics that they had devised. Let's see, can I throttle up more, maybe? Or am I already at full throttle? Well, fortunately these are unarmed drones, so I don't have to worry about them shooting back. Alright. Yeah, you really can't nose up much at all without, or nose up at least in conjunction with sharp turning, or else you're going to stall out. So you kind of have to take things a little gently with the Wildcat here. You can't throw it around in the air like presumably you can with the Zero, since its maneuverability and agility was the Zero's biggest marks in its favor. Zero was more or less a dedicated dogfighter, whereas the American fighters tended to be more of energy fighters. Ah, geez, I stalled again. Which meant that you didn't want to get into turning fights with the Zero. Instead, you would implement, like, so-called boom and zoom tactics, where you would dive in on your quarry at a high speed, make your pass, and then either keep on diving or quickly pull out and climb away before your enemy could effectively react to you. Anyway, I think I've kind of gotten the hang of this, though, so I'm not sure if there's a way to... I think if I hit Q, that quits. First off, though, let me test something here. Okay, yes. And fans of X-Wing and TIE Fighter, when it comes to the viewing controls at least, will probably be right at home, because they're more or less the same. 8 gives you the forward cockpit view, 2 gives you the rear view of the plane, 4 gives you, I believe that's the left side, and 6 gives you the right view. Now, it's not quite as detailed as X-Wing and TIE Fighter, because you can't kind of, because you basically can only look in like these cardinal directions. There is no like angled views and such that those later Star Wars games have. But you can definitely see, though, the DNA, so to speak, of what would be X-Wing and TIE Fighter even in this early entry into the LucasArts flight and space combat sim genre. But this plane, though, handles like a pig, though, I gotta say. Anyway, I think if we hit Q, that quits out. Good shooting. You scored hits on a number of the target drones. Try again and see if you can get them all. Press a key to continue. Shows us our confirmed victories and losses. And I guess we'll press the return key for new missions. Well, now that we've gotten that under our belts, maybe we'll try select active duty. I'm feeling a little brave here. And it looks like we have some different battles to choose. And what's interesting to note here, Coral Sea, Midway, East Solomons, and Santa Cruz, these all took place in the year 1942. So the Battlehawks 1942 moniker is very much accurate with this. This isn't like some other, like World War II or other combat flight sims where they threw in a year because it sounds good or iconic as such. Like, for instance, I know that Microprose made 1942 the Pacific Air War, but you fly throughout the war with that. But this looks like it's like laser focused on 1942 in particular. So that's interesting. And when I checked out the manual, it's worth noting too that not only is the manual quite large, it's like over 150 pages and is very extensive with the gameplay, but you also get quite the impressive history lesson from this too. They have entire sections dedicated to just filling in the reader all about the historical events that this game is based upon. But anyway, Coral Sea, it looks like we're flying a Dauntless. Interesting. Your mission is to bomb and sink the carrier Shoho. She's already burning from our first attack, so you just need to follow the smoke in. Radio reports some Zeeks at high altitude, so keep an eye above as well. Stick with your wingman to maximize firepower and increase the chance of getting through the flak in one piece. It's a bit of an artifacting glitch there, unfortunately. I'm not sure if that's a problem with the emulation or what, but I don't know if we want to fool around with any of the control or with any of the options for the aircraft, because I think the game's probably fit us with the optimal aircraft for this. We probably, like for instance, we don't want to fly a fighter for this. They won't be carrying bombs, so you can't bomb the Japanese carrier here. And it looks like, let's see, can we modify anything else? Oh, I should probably change the enemy's skill level. Yeah. Let's go with Cadet, because it, by default, had us, looks like, on the most difficult option, Ace. But let's go ahead and stick with Cadet, just so that I have a better chance of surviving. So this should be interesting. We're flying a dive bomber rather than a fighter. Does this mean... Yeah, we can control the rear gunner position, because this plane has a rear gunner. I wonder if it fires automatically on enemy aircraft or not, or if we have to do it ourselves. I guess we're about to find out. Now, there are Zeros coming in to intercept, but our main objective is to destroy the carriers, not to get into dogfights, which this plane is ill-suited for anyway. So I wonder... I mean, I suppose I could take a few pot shots since he's in my line of fire, but... Whoa! Well, I guess we know where the carrier is. Man, this plane is even worse than the Wildcat for stalling out, so... I guess that shouldn't be surprising, though, but... Ooh, good shot. One of our wingmen destroyed one of our wingman's rear gunners took out the Zero. Yeah, these guys are really doing work here. Well, I am a little out of formation after stalling a couple times, but... And I can't seem to get the plane to move any faster than this, but... Ooh, did we get hit by flak? I think we may have been. Okay, so it looks like they are going. They're going on the dive, so I better too. Let's put the brakes on for speed brakes so our controls don't freeze up and we end up crashing. Hopefully I know how to drop my bombs here. Let's see. Suppose I should have looked at this and my manual and my cheat sheet before I started diving, but I don't know, maybe it's the secondary fire function? Okay, we have been hit by flak. There's a Zero chasing them down, but I don't want to open fire because I think I might end up hitting one of my fellow dive bombers here. Man, the flak is thick. Well, it looks like they managed to shoot down the Zero that was chasing them, so the AI gunnery is pretty good, I gotta say. Makes me concerned, though, if we were to go up against, like, bomber intercept missions, you probably want to stay out of their gunner's line of fire. Okay, I think we dropped our bomb. Let's go ahead and... Oh. And I think we crashed. Oops. Luckily, you quickly scrambled out of your plane before it disappeared into the ocean depths. Long after the battle was over, a rescue plane discovered your raft. You've lost your plane, but you've survived to fight another day. Oops. I guess we were closer to the sea than I thought. Okay, so it's giving us, like, some advice, I think. Use the gunner's seat to protect yourself from enemy fighters. Also, keep close tabs on your altitude. Yeah, which I think I kind of neglected. While concentrating on the target, it's easy to fly into the water. Yeah, that's precisely what I did. Press the key to continue. Okay. Maybe we'll return. So, are we able to continue, or is that it? Looks like that may have been it because we crashed or something, but... let's see. I wonder, how can I fly as the Japanese? I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to try that out. Okay, I'm back. So I figured it out. You have to go into the service records and create a new pilot. So we're going to be Japanese for this one, B-Mans LN. So that's the one that's currently selected. So let's try maybe another active duty. We could maybe try playing the same mission. I presume it's going to be the same mission. It looks like it, but from the Japanese perspective. So waves of dive bombers are approaching our carrier. You alone will have to stop them before they get into position, as the Shoho is damaged and will not be able to evade. Use your 20mm cannon on the leaders to down them quickly, then concentrate on the following wave. So we've got our work cut out for us because the carrier is already in pretty bad shape, but we'll try our best. For the Emperor. Go ahead and throttle up. I think we're approaching him head on. Now we do have cannons as well as machine guns. The cannons have very limited ammo though, so we're probably going to burn through it quickly. Oh yeah, look at this. We got multiple waves coming, and yeah, I think we might be the only plane in this. So I think maybe depending on which side you fly as, the opposition will be stacked against you. Ooh, yep. And I am making a bad mistake by approaching these Dauntlesses from above, because their rear gunners are going to rip me to pieces, especially flying the Zero. It was very agile and such, but it was very fragile, too. Let's go ahead. Dang. Even when flying as the Zero, you can stall easily, so it's kind of more of a quirk with the flight model. So that is unfortunate, because that really puts a dampener on things, especially compared to other World War II combat flight sims that have more in-depth flight models and such. Oh, and you know what? I think we were firing our cannons that entire time, so now we're stuck to just using the machine guns, which are not nearly as effective. But we have plenty of ammo at least. So let's just lay into these Americans, and even if we can't save our carrier, we can maybe take as many of them down as we can to make make them pay for it in blood. So, here comes the next wave, though. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be able to save the Shoho, which is in keeping with actual history. The Japanese did lose their aircraft carrier during the battle. That's where the famous phrase, "scratch one flat top," came from one of the dive bomber pilots who made a successful run on the Shoho. I know a little bit about World War II history, as you may have surmised, but see, now I'm low and slow though, and whoop, was that one of the dive bombers? It might have been. But see, since I followed them down, I'm now low and slow, and I've lost track of where the dive bombers are. Oh, okay, interesting. So you can look down with the 3 key. I wasn't aware of that. So I think I heard the bombs impact. So there didn't seem to be that much I could do once I committed myself to the bombing, or to chasing the dive bombers. And now they're going to be booking it at low altitude. Let me get down. Hopefully I can get underneath them so I don't take fire from their gunners. Looks like I got to get right down on the deck though. Meanwhile, looks like they're trying to maneuver so that their gunners can get a clear shot at me. This may be the end of my Japanese pilot's illustrious career. I did manage to down some Dauntlesses though. Let's just see what damage I can cause. So, it's kind of an observation too. I've noticed that I seem to be getting better frame rate now that there's less happening on the screen. Is this even hitting? I may be out of range. Well, see if I can get any closer. I think we've reached the 20-minute mark by now, so I should probably wrap this mission up soon. Don't want to let this drag on for too long. But you know what? Yeah, color me more or less impressed for the most part. But given that this was made by the one and only Lawrence Holland, I'm not that surprised. Let's see. Let me just see if I can down this one Dauntless. Yeah, fortunately I got plenty of machine gun ammo. Probably more than what is historically accurate. Typically, fighters, regardless of what they are outfitted with gun-wise, they only had enough for like a 15 to 20 second sustained burst before you ran out of ammo. So you really had to make sure that your shots landed. You had to make every shot count rather than indiscriminately hosing the air down with bullets like I'm doing right now. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch this Dauntless, or if I do, it's going to take too long. So let's just go ahead and hit Q, I think. Your carrier has been severely damaged. Make sure you intercept the enemy bombers before they release their warheads. Yeah, well, easier said than done, game. But like I said, it is keeping with what actually happened. So, and here we go. Here's our service record. Pilot has returned to his carrier and is ready to fly a new mission. So we did shoot down 3 of the Dauntlesses. So that's pretty much half, I think, of the attacking force, given that there were 2 waves of 3 by the looks of things. Let's just go ahead. Okay, and it took us back to the main menu. And yeah, I think I'll call it here. Definitely have gone over the 20-minute mark. So that's Battlehawks 1942, more or less the origins of Lawrence Holland's run of combat flight in space sims for Lucasfilm Games and later LucasArts. I do have to admit, though, that this initial entry is pretty rough around the edges and doesn't match the lofty heights of its successors. For one, the flight model I felt was quite awkward and wonky. I felt like it was way too easy to stall out, regardless of the plane that you were flying. And even for its time, this was not the most technically impressive or immersive combat flight sim out there. For example, that very same year, Microprose released F-19 Stealth Fighter, and just a few short years after that, Dynamics would blow this game out of the water in every way with Aces of the Pacific. But you know what? Despite these drawbacks that I mentioned, this game does have a certain je ne sais quoi, maybe if you want to call it the Lawrence Holland touch and such. So if you're a fan of his work, and if you like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and if you don't mind taking a step back into the 1940s to participate in the War in the Pacific, then you could certainly do worse than Battlehawks 1942, and it's definitely worth checking out if you want to see, like I said, the humble origins, so to speak, of Lawrence Holland's legacy. And if you're interested in the works of legendary figures of the DOS gaming scene, then we do run across them occasionally here in the Random DOS Game Show. So far in Lawrence Holland's case, Lonnie has covered X-Wing and TIE Fighter previously, so check those out, and if you like what you see here, consider subscribing. But that'll do it for today. And until next time, watch your six, and take care, everyone.